Good morning, everybody. Jasper here. Oh man, on the Colorado Trail. Hey, we will be arriving in Silverton today. Not quite as early as I'd hoped, but I've still got a good push, 10 or 11 miles to get to the trailhead. Quite a bit of that is on the flat that we're on right now, but we also have a big climb ahead too. So that's going to slow me down. So I don't expect to get to the trailhead till probably 1 o'clock after lunch. That's a little bit late in Silverton if you're hoping to hitch into town after that and get a place in the hostel. So yeah, challenges ahead, but last night something happened that's never happened to me before on trail. I went to bed about 7:15. I laid down, closed my eyes, went to sleep. I didn't wake up till 6:15 this morning. I'd planned on being on trail by 6 to get to the trailhead at a much earlier time. But no, for some reason, I just slept like all night, like from 7 till 6, like 11 hours. My goodness. Anyhow, I just got on trail now. I just jumped up, packed up my gear, hit the trail. We will be stopping down the road for our coffee and breakfast. We're gonna have to do that. Hey, what are we at today? Are we day 28 now? Is it day 28? I think it is, isn't it? I think today is day 28 of our Colorado Trail. It's a Sunday. I think it's August the 22nd. Dang. Thank you again for joining me this morning. So yeah, we had that deer coming camp last night. You got some video. I did end up having to shoo the doe away because they can do damage to your gear as you sleep. Things like trekking pole handles. They'll chew on those for the salt that comes out of your skin and so on. So I just kind of gently persuaded her to move on. Just, you know, told her to go away now. But she spent a lot of time just right there in camp with us. And she kept coming back until I kind of shooed her away. Okay. Less of my babbling and let's get to hiking. Just take a little look at where I'm having my breakfast. Beautiful pond, mountain peaks, tall spruce trees. Absolutely gorgeous. What a beautiful place to drink your coffee on a morning. My goodness, I am so blessed to be here. There's nowhere else I'd rather be right now. This is absolutely stunning. Wasn't that a beautiful place to have our coffee and our breakfast this morning? And I did want to share that with you because, you know, you just never ever know when you'll ever be back this way again. Nobody knows what's around that next bend, around that next corner in life. We don't know. And it brings to mind a thought. I'd asked myself this the other day, and I did this morning when I was sat there having my coffee. Is this a trail? Is the Colorado Trail a trail that I would do again? Well, there's been lots of trails. Some I did. They were on my bucket list. They're in my portfolio as trails through hiked. But they're not necessarily trails I would rush back to do again. Unlike, say, take the Bruce Trail in Ontario, my home trail. I really enjoy that trail. 2 reasons. 1, it's my home trail. And 2, it's a very interesting trail with lots of challenges. And I've done that, well, once as a through hike and once as a yo-yo, which is a total of 3 through hikes on that trail. And I'll do it again. So going back to the question, would I do the Colorado again? Well, the answer to that question is, oh yes, I would. I would love to do the Colorado again. Oh, Yeah. Next time, if I do it again, I could take the West Collegiate rather than the East, just to see that part. But yes, I would do it again. Hiking through yet another avalanche area with a beautiful whitewater rapid river below. What a gorgeous place. Isn't that amazing? The trail ahead, rocky, challenging at times, easy going at other times. We've got the big climb of the day coming up, and that's the big climb that's going to take us up to the community of Silverton, because that's a community that we have to climb up to. And we've got a good, 2,500 feet to climb. Camp area for the night. And another one right there. That would be great. Right on trail, perfect. Water, awesome. So a nice wet camp. So the last few days, last 5 days anyhow, have been extremely challenging insofar as we'd spent our 3 days, if you will, above tree line in the totally exposed high altitudes of the trail. This whole trail, once you climb up out of Waterton Canyon, it spends most of its time between 10 and a little over 13,000 feet. Now and then you drop down to as low as 9,000 or even 8,500, but most of the time you're at those high altitudes. And then when you come to an area where you're above tree line for such a long period of time, like 3 days, 4 days, depending on your speed, how many miles you hike a day, that is cold, it's windy, it's exposed, and it's challenging. And it really does kind of tax you a lot, makes you work really hard for each and every step. Oh, speaking of working hard, oh look, there I am now. Look at me go. So what we haven't been doing lately is talking about gear, simply because a lot of our day has been spent on basically meeting the challenge that lies ahead of us. But now we're back a little lower. I think today's maximum altitude is about 10,800, something like that. We're within the tree line. We're lower than the tree line, or at the tree line. So even though it's very challenging, it's not exposed, it's not quite as well, dangerous. Anyhow, having said all those things, I think what I'd like to start doing is continuing once a day with our kind of gear review. And it can be just tips about gear, hence we kind of call that tech tips. Little pieces of information about the gear I'm using or have used, or so on. Such as, we've talked about trekking poles already, but I want to show you these trekking poles. If you can see right at the end, both ends, I'm not sure if that's focusing properly in the GoPro, and I hope it did, but both of those tips completely worn off. What happens is, there's a carbide tip right at the very end, and that, on the hard rock sections, that gets broken. Once that gets broken off, it now leaves the softer materials to take the brunt of the load. Secondly, it doesn't pierce the ground anymore like the carbide tips did, which makes the trekking pole not as useful, a little more dangerous, a little more slippable. The more it wears, the more slippable it becomes. These two tips on mine, as I've just shown you, the carbide tip broke off days ago on rocks, and they've been wearing and wearing and wearing ever since. The actual tip covers of the pole is still there on each side. So at some point, and they're replaceable, by the way, You can take the whole tip off, 3 or 4 inch kind of rubber sleeve. Comes off, a little challenging at times, but comes off. And you put a new one on. In fact, we may do a video on how to do that because it is a little bit of a challenge at times, but easy once you know how. And instead of replacing the whole trekking pole, you spend a few bucks and you just replace the tips on each pole. I like these poles, I like them a lot. They're carbide, they're lighter than my aluminums by 5.1 ounces, as we've mentioned in other videos. I like them. And rather than replacing them, I would rather just replace the tips, as I say, for a few bucks. I think you can buy a set of tips for like $6 or $10 Canadian or something like that. So that's probably what we'll do. So my little tech tip today is you don't necessarily have to throw away whatever pole you're using because the tips wear down. They are replaceable. It's relatively simple to do. A little bit of a challenge, but once you know how, it's simple. Again, we'll try to put together a video on that somewhere down the road. So yeah, there's Jasper's tech tip for day 28. Is it day 28? Oh, good God. I think it's day 28. The only reason I think that is because I seem to recall saying yesterday this is day 27. So I'm guessing today's day 28. Whew. Okay. Let's keep hiking. Well, take a look at an absolutely stunning and perfect landscape image. To a landscape photographer, that image is definitely money in the bank. It simply does not get any better than that. We came to a junction, Colorado Trail, and right here to Crusher from Carmen Van Diego. Some kind of treat, it looks like refreshments. Doesn't have my name on it, I'm afraid, so it's not for me to drink. Information: Weminuche Wilderness. Wow, wow, interesting. Well, so far this last 2.5 hours, 3 hours has been grueling ascent. Very picturesque, some beautiful views below. Take a look at the mountains. It's almost like some of those mountains were sculpted. There's a road, cars. Those cars mean I am close to the Highway 550 that's going to take me, or at least I think it does if that's the road, that's going to take me into Silverton. It has been a challenging morning and a hard push, trying essentially to beat the clock today to hopefully get a spot at the hostel in town. I'm thinking the Silverton hostel is my best choice to start with first. If not, find a lesser kind of motel, cheaper motel. I'd love to take a zero here, but I can really only do that if I can get into the hostel, I think, because the rooms, albeit expensive for one night, would be outrageous for me and out of my price point for 2 nights. But the hostel should be okay if, again, I can get space. And that's what we've been pushing for pretty much ever since we hit the trail this morning. I'm not sure what time it is right now, but I'm guessing it's 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I know a few days ago I ran into a couple of young ladies. We all camped together, and they'd gone to the hostel in Silverton, but they went to the Avon hostel, and they said at noon the hostel part was full, but they did have also private rooms, and for one room for one night with 2 beds they paid $200 US, which is way out of my price point. If something like that happened, that would be worst case scenario today, and all I would be able to do is grab my resupply and then package it up into my food pack and leave town. There would be no bath, no shower, no shave, no laundry, no charging battery packs, nothing like that. I would just have to resupply, maybe have time to eat a meal in town, and then get back on trail. So however it goes down throughout the rest of this day, well, that's how it goes down. It's beyond my control, but I am going to try to get into the hostel. And then my second choice would be the lesser expensive of the motels. Okay, the trail is beautiful right now. It's flat. We've reached the summit, thank goodness. So the last whatever distance I have to go to get to the trailhead and the highway, hopefully it's nice and flat, just like this. Beautiful up here, by the way, just absolutely stunning. I mean, oh, it's hard to find negativity in something so wonderful. Oh, on another note, I did get just a little bit of reception, only for seconds, but it was reception on my cell phone long enough for a message to come through from the trail angel Joanne, my lovely girlfriend, and she just says something about the border being closed again. Maybe the land border, I don't know. But I know they were opening it, I think, August the 9th. So it should have been open now. In fact, I've seen reports that it was open and, you know, traffic going through and so on. So I don't know if the case count of COVID has gone up and they've decided to close it again. So that could be another problem. But that's a problem with a golden lining. If that happened and I couldn't get back into Canada, I can go to Mexico. And my daughter, I have 2 daughters that live in Mexico. I'm sure I'd be welcome at either of their homes until such time as I could travel back to Canada. So you know what? I will have to do that if that's what I have to do. Okay, let's keep going. Whoo! Yep, I don't know. Crazy times we live in, but my goodness, if we have to live in these crazy times, might as well do it here. It's beautiful. The road you can see ahead, or hopefully you can see with traffic, that is the 550, I believe. Looks reasonably busy with traffic, so hopefully I won't have to wait too long for a ride into Silverton. And also sometimes at the trailhead that has parking. Whew. Wow, take a look. See the lake through the trees? Isn't that stunning? Wow. Anyhow, as I was saying, sometimes at the trailhead it has parking like this one does. You can quite often get a ride from someone who maybe have been out just doing a bit of morning or day hiking or something. So, whew, it's been one heck of a tough morning. Probably the hardest 11 miles I've done on this trail. Okay, let's get it done. Well, I thought I'd film this before anybody else got here. There's a washroom. There's 2 of those. 2 showers. Awesome. Bunks. This is a hostel. All the bunks have privacy curtains. I am the only person here right now. More will come, I'm sure. And so the young lady said I could pick whichever one I wanted. So I picked number 10 because it's got a window to a little side alley. And they have snacks for the hikers, which I'm having some, and coffee. This is pretty good. It costs $75 per night. So I'm taking a zero here before my final push to Durango. Yeah. Whew, I'm gonna enjoy my coffee, a couple of bags of those chips, take a shower, then I'm gonna go eat. Yeah, I'm gonna spend a couple of days, two nights here in Silverton. I'm so looking forward to that R&R. Talk to you guys in a bit.